We talked about dysfunctional bureaucracy last time. How Michael Crozier found out that bureaucratic organizations were not really performing the way it had been envisaged by Weber. And he did so. He came to this conclusion after examining a number of bureaucratic organizations in France and Europe. And after going through all the weaknesses of these bureaucratic organizations, he concluded that the so-called ideal, legal, rational bureaucracy envisaged by Weber had actually become dysfunctional. He found slowness there. He found those organizations to be fairly unresponsive to the needs of the people. He found a lot of power struggle going on between different groups and the parallel power structures coming up. He also found that concept of control as a result of hierarchical division of labor and supervision had been more or less diluted or rather lost. Internal politics was rife. There was a lot of isolation of the organization from the environment, from those whom it is supposed to serve. And the peer group pressure within the organization had distorted the power balance in there. And overall he concluded that decisions the way they should be made were not being made. Decisions which should have been made right there and then were being referred to some central organization somewhere which perhaps did not have the relevant information or knowledge about the issue. So he was forced to conclude that the organizations he studied, and generalizing upon that, the goals were not being met. Those organizations were not meeting the goals set for them to any great extent the way they should be meeting them. And this brings us to our own bureaucracy too. And we'll, for a little while, look at our own bureaucracy and what is happening there. What I'm calling the decay of the Pakistani bureaucracy. First, we did not touch upon this last time. I'd like to just flag this for a little while. That bureaucracy and bureaucratic organizations should not only be viewed as national formats or structures or constructs. They are also there at the international level. There is a global expansion of bureaucratic structures. Interesting examples: World Bank may not have proliferated as much as the UN. हम देखते हैं कि UN एक bureaucracy जो कि सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल और जनरल असेंबली की गाइज में स्टार्ट हुई टू ensure that there was no more wars and development took place, kept on expanding and kept on expanding. न जाने इस वक्त कितनी organizations हैं within the UN system. 40-50 तो पाकिस्तान में ही शायद काम कर रही हैं. Including the United Nations Organization for Refugees. So as new challenges came up, it gave a good excuse for this international bureaucratic organization to expand. So now we can call it a UN system with many sister organizations. There was an attempt some time back, maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, to cut down on this structure, to simplify and bring certain organizations under one umbrella in certain countries as an experiment, but that did not succeed. So this UN system, this global bureaucracy, this global administrative system was unable to downsize itself. And most of the things which we discussed about national bureaucracies are applicable to international bureaucracies. On the commercial side, I've talked about WTO, which followed the GATT, very important in trade and commerce. और वर्ल्ड बैंक का तो हम सबको पता है, और IMF का भी हम सबको पता है. कर्जा तो लेना ही होता है ना, लेकिन ये भी बहुत बड़ी ब्यूरोक्रेसीज है. इनका भी वही सिस्टम है, आराम आराम से सब कुछ होता है, और कई जगह पे कई वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट काम करते हैं, और शायद काफी हद तक एक सुपर पावर का से है इन सब ब्यूरोक्रेटिक सिस्टम्स में. So we have to keep in mind that it's not just national bureaucracies with certain characteristics and features mostly considered as negative. The connotation here is negative of the bureaucracy, national bureaucracy. What I'm saying is international bureaucracies are no exception. वर्ल्ड बैंक हो, IMF हो, WTO हो, UN सिस्टम की सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हो, या इवन those big international not-for-profit organizations, NGOs. Look at Oxfam, for example. These are all bureaucracies. And most of the time, you'll find similar things happening. Same kind of infighting, politicization, insulation from those whom you are supposed to serve, and more regard, more interest in expanding the bureaucracy than in meeting the goals of the organization. These characteristics are similar to national and international bureaucracy. Let's come to the Pakistani bureaucracy. Some characteristics. What we are calling circumlocution here. इस चक्कर काटते जाओ, काम करवाना है, चक्कर काटने पड़ेंगे बहुत ज्यादा. एक दफा आके वन विंडो ऑपरेशन नहीं आपको मिलेगा कि आप आए, आपको पता है क्या क्या डॉक्यूमेंट्स चाहिए हैं, वो आप ले आए और आपका काम हो गया. उन्होंने बोला जी आप 2 दिनों के बाद आ जाएं, 3 दिनों के बाद आ जाएं, and your work would have been done. This is not characteristics of bureaucracies, especially so bureaucracies in the developing countries. In the developed countries, they have fairly streamlined public services. But in a Pakistani bureaucracy, we have always witnessed those long queues, maybe in front of the passport office, or people trying to pay utility bills. Thankfully, it's available online now to do such activities. But trying to get any official certification or a piece of official paper about you is a nightmare. It's not easy. And in the beginning or at the end, you might have to negotiate with a tout somewhere to get the work done. So this aspect of bureaucracy where you have to pay many visits to the office, your file has to move from one table to the second, to the third, to the fourth, and so on. And there might be objections at each stage, sometimes founded and mostly unfounded. आपकी फाइल जो है वो पता नहीं कितने डेस्कों पे जाएगी, क्लर्क से शुरू होकर या ऑफिस सुपरिटेंडेंट से शुरू होकर, बिफोर इट गोज टू द पर्सन हु हैज टू टेक अ डिसीजन. यानी डिसीजन मेकर के पास पहुंचते ही उसको इतना वक्त लग जाएगा. सर्कमलोक्यूशन. और फिर यह भी ऐन मुमकिन है कि जो बड़े साहब हैं वो भी उस पर कुछ ऑब्जेक्शन लगा के दोबारा नीचे उसी रूट से भेज दें. सो दिस इज अ state of affair which we witness every day. Perhaps with certain services coming online and some work being done on e-government and e-governance, things might get better in the future. Because when you remove the human contact between the bureaucrat or the lower level civil service employee and the person who's got a job with them, and that can be conducted online through the computer, it makes life easier, and perhaps rent seeking is eliminated. Red tape, delays of all sort, and delays may not be just due to the many people involved in decision making, to those hierarchical rungs of the ladder. जो रेड टेप है और डिले क्रिएट करती है, उसकी वजह सिर्फ हायरार्की नहीं है, अफसरान की बहुतात नहीं है, उसकी कई वजूहात हो सकती हैं. एंड समटाइम्स देयर आर अल्टीरियर मोटिव्स. आपकी फाइल को जानबूझकर डिले किया जा सकता है ताकि आप महकमे से बात करें कि भाई मैं आपके काम आ सकता हूं, मेरा काम कर दीजिएगा. So red tape in Pakistani bureaucracy is not essentially the result of that ingrained delay which occurs in any bureaucratic system due to the hierarchical organization and due to strict conformity with laws and due to every person trying to exercise their part of power in the whole process in a not very meaningful manner. But that person has to prove that, well, I have this power and I can misuse it if I want. That is why delays occur. So the amount of red tape, delay we see in our bureaucracy is much, much more than that of the developed countries. There might be some countries which are even worse off than us, but then that's no comfort. Formalism, formalities. It is not the content or the real issue which will matter. Formalities will become very big. The first thing is that the bureaucrat considers himself or herself to be a superior breed, which introduces the first level of formality in the relationship. That I am the master, I can make things, I can run things, I can do things. Why should I bother about the general people? It is my legal authority to do something. I don't have to worry about someone's time. I don't have to worry about someone's desperation or frustration. I'm a man with a suit and a nice shirt and a tie, and I will behave the way I want to. I'll be very formal. I'm not going to say hello to you. So, formalism of sorts, of many sorts, is ingrained in our system. And some say that this is a legacy from our colonial days, that since the British bureaucrats and those in the Indian civil service acted very formal, very masterly, like masters, the bureaucrats thereafter have tried to emulate them and have adopted all those practices. There definitely are negative practices. Formalism takes out that service delivery concept from the structure of bureaucracy. More and more formalities are introduced. More and more paperwork is required. And there is that distance maintained between the person who has to get the work done and those who have to do the work as a matter of duty. Then there's the issue of unresponsiveness. How responsive is an organization to the needs of the people? और ख़ास तौर पे ये अनरिस्पॉन्सिवनेस वहाँ पे बहुत एक्यूट हो जाती है और बहुत फील की जाती है, जहाँ पर आपने सर्विस डिलीवरी देनी है या जहाँ पर कुछ क्रिटिकल चीज़ें हो रही हैं, मसलन एजुकेशन, मसलन हेल्थ, ट्रांसपोर्ट, ये बेसिक सर्विसेज जो हैं, if these are to be provided to some extent by the state, so how responsive is the state to the needs of the population? State means the state machinery. The administrative machinery is the state machinery. The bureaucrats are the state machinery. वो कितने responsive हैं? One indicator of responsiveness is the presence of feedback. कौन सा महकमा लोगों से फीडबैक मांगता है या लेता है या किस हद तक लेता है? अगर लेता भी है तो जस्ट अ फॉर्मेलिटी, अगेन फॉर्मलिज्म, इट विल नेवर बी कंसिडर्ड. लेकिन आप देखेंगे बहुत कम ऐसे महकमे होंगे या अदारे होंगे जिनका एक रेगुलर फीडबैक मैकेनिज्म है कि जी हमने जिन लोगों को सर्व करना है वो हमारे बारे में, हमारी सर्विसेज के बारे में क्या सोचते हैं. To what extent they are satisfied with the kind of service delivery they are getting. That is the concept of feedback. So in the first place, if you won't even have feedback from your clients, तो आपका client focus तो ना हुआ. आपका वो अपने पे फोकस है, ब्यूरोक्रेसी पे फोकस है, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे फोकस है. Can we afford an unresponsive rescue service or a hospital ambulance service? No. If I were to make a call in case of a fire, would I get a response in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 5 hours? Never. I don't know. तो पाकिस्तान में जो डिफरेंट स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं ब्यूरोक्रेटिक, खासतौर पे सर्विस प्रोवाइडिंग स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं, उनके अनरिस्पॉन्सिवनेस डेफिनेटली उनमें अनरिस्पॉन्सिवनेस प्रेजेंट है. एंड दैट हैज बीन डॉक्यूमेंटेड. In fact, there is no need to document it. We see it all the time. But thirst for power. This is also an ingrained or inherent phenomena in a bureaucracy. We saw how different groups form within the bureaucracy and their power struggles. But then there is an overall thirst for power in every organizational setup in the bureaucracy. And how is it manifested? कैसे पता लगता है या उसको हम कैसे, क्या इफेक्ट करता है वो पब्लिक पे जो आपकी थर्स्ट फॉर पावर है? सबसे पहले तो ब्यूरोक्रेसी अपनी पावर्स इंक्रीज करना चाहती है. हर ग्रुप ब्यूरोक्रेसी में अपनी पावर्स इंक्रीज करना चाहता है. दैट थर्स्ट ऑफ पावर is going to lead them to be preoccupied with trying to get more power rather than caring about the people they are supposed to serve. तो ये उसकी एक मैनिफेस्टेशन है कि अगर आपको आपकी अनरिस्पॉन्सिवनेस, आपकी रेड टेप, आपकी फॉर्मलिज्म, ये सब चीजें जो हैं they will get magnified in your thirst for power because आपकी primary consideration would be to get and grab more and more power. Be it through bureaucratic means, be it through political means, आप मिनिस्टर के थ्रू कराएं, आप प्रेशर्स के थ्रू कराएं, आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर के थ्रू कराएं, but you would want more power. आपको गर्ज नहीं है कि आप अपने प्रोसीजर्स को स्ट्रीमलाइन करें ताकि काम जल्दी हो. आप रेंट सीकिंग बिहेवियर अपने एम्प्लॉयज का, अपने पीपल लोअर डाउन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल लेडर, उसको कंट्रोल करें. यू आर नॉट बॉदर्ड अबाउट द फीडबैक ऑफ द पीपल. यू डोंट केयर how much time it takes for someone to get a work done. You don't have any facilities for people coming to your office. You will have a nice office for yourself, air-conditioned, big, with a big, huge table reflecting your power and your thirst for power. But they may not even be drinking water or a fan for the clients out there. So many manifestations of this thirst of power. But of course, as we said before, it is one of the ingrained and inherent characteristics of almost all bureaucracies. कुछ चीज़ें जो स्टैंड आउट करती हैं हमारे ब्यूरोक्रेटिक सेटअप की, अगर हम हिस्ट्री देखें कि कैसे डिके आया ये, और शुरू में when we got independence, there are very big names of bureaucrats, of civil servants, CSPs also, who did immense work of making the country stand on its feet and provide all and help provide all the basic essentials, and then embarked upon policies of industrialization, etc. Big names of very, very professional, devoted, dedicated, honest bureaucrats. But then, look at us now. What is the state of bureaucracy today? They are perhaps all political henchmen. Not all, but quite a few. Most perhaps. So we have really traversed this path from excellence to decay over the last 50, 60 years or so. And what are the factors? Politicization. It's writ large everywhere. हर जगह नजर आता है कि ब्यूरोक्रेसी इज पोलिटिसाइज्ड. आपका काम नहीं हो रहा, आप एक टेलीफोन करा दें किसी मिनिस्टर से, फौरन हो जाएगा आपका काम, चाहे उसमें थोड़ा बहुत या ज्यादा भी भुगतान हो मेरिट का. So extreme politicization has taken place in our bureaucracy. Perhaps even more so than what happens in the spoil system, where like in the US, when a government changes, the new government brings some other people into civil service jobs from the private sector or people who are loyal to them. Unfortunately, we have evolved a very, very distinct and rather a degenerated spoil system within our so-called merit-based bureaucracy. That is the extent of politicization. You cannot exist in the bureaucracy, or you cannot progress in the bureaucracy rather, if you are not politicized now. And this has happened over a period of time. This may not have been so when I joined the civil service, but not much after that. It became very apparent that politicization is a must if you have to really progress and move up in bureaucracy. Bipolarization. We can look at it in this way, in one or two ways. Especially when you have a politicized bureaucracy and there is more or less of a two-party system in a setup, then you tend to link your loyalty with one party or the other. So sometimes within a bureaucracy you find distinct groups, polarized, poles apart. One group may be right of the center and other group might be a left or left of the center group. So bipolarization within the bureaucracy is a direct result of the politicization of the bureaucracy. And another kind of polarization within the Pakistani bureaucracy is the intergroup polarization. Then there is the issue of provincial and federal bureaucracy. There is the issue of the various specialized groups interacting with each other in a not very amicable manner. So all kinds of polarizations, I would call it multipolarizations, are present in the bureaucratic setup of a country. Again, a sure sign of decay. जहाँ ब्यूरोक्रेसी इतनी ज़्यादा पोलिटिसाइज हो जाए और उसकी पोलिटिसाइजेशन की वजह से उसमें पोलराइजेशन भी आ जाए और मुख्तलिफ ग्रुप्स की आपस में मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग्स या एनवी की वजह से और पोलराइजेशन आ जाए, तो हम उस ब्यूरोक्रेसी को डिसफंक्शनल तो कहेंगे ही, बल्कि डिकेड कहेंगे. दैट ब्यूरोक्रेसी इज डिकेइंग और हैज डिकेड. And then discouragement of professionalism. भाई आप प्रोफेशनल हैं, आप एक इंजीनियर हैं, आप एक डॉक्टर हैं, आप एक साइंटिस्ट हैं. How much respect do you get in the bureaucratic circles? Or is it possible for you to rise to the top level in the bureaucracy? The ministry which you have joined, will you ever head that? Perhaps not. So this is the argument which is generally called the generalist versus specialist argument. कि जिन लोगों ने स्पेशलाइज किया हुआ है, प्रोफेशनलाइज किया हुआ है सर्टेन डिसिप्लिन्स में, वो कहाँ तक प्रोग्रेस करते हैं? क्या किसी स्टेज पे भी उनकी इनपुट जो है पॉलिसी फॉर्मुलेशन में जाती है, या सिर्फ जनरलिस्ट की जा रही है पॉलिसी फॉर्मुलेशन में, या इवन पॉलिसी इंप्लीमेंटेशन में उनका कोई रोल है? और अगर नहीं है तो इज दैट नॉट अ ग्रेट लॉस टू द कंट्री, टू द प्लानिंग also, and to the running of organizations in a professional manner also. At another level, there is this discouragement of professionalization in the bureaucracy, where you will generally prefer a politicized officer who is loyal to you as a politician. You will prefer him to hold a key post in your ministry rather than a professional who might say no to you most of the time when you want something done, which may not be in accordance with the rules or the laws, or which might require some circumnavigation to make it look proper. So, इस किस्म की जो प्रोफेशनलिज्म की डिस्करेजमेंट है, उसका इम्पैक्ट हमारी ब्यूरोक्रेसी पे बहुत है. अच्छे ब्रेन्स कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं कर पाते. प्रोफेशनल लोग अपनी से नहीं मनवा सकते. प्रोफेशनल लोग पॉलिसी में, पॉलिसी मेकिंग में, फॉर्मुलेशन में किस स्टेज तक नहीं पहुंच सकते. This is one of the major reasons also for the decay of our bureaucracy. और ये तो हमने पहले बात की थी. Misuse of political influence. All this can be summed up in this last sentence: misuse of political influence. We have been seeing it almost all our lives. how politicians misuse their influence. And then at the end of the day, there are these mega corruption scandals which come to light. Even when that government may be in power or once that government leaves. So, the state of affairs of the Pakistani bureaucracy is not enviable. We can't say it's the best bureaucracy in the world. And we know the phenomena. We know what is happening. It is happening before our eyes. So, till things improve, you and I will have to make do with this kind of bureaucracy. Corruption in bureaucracy. Immense amount of corruption. Different figures are floated all the time. Awe-inspiring figures. You really can't reconcile with those figures when you talk about billions being lost to corruption every day. Is NAB sufficient for that? Are other provincial departments of anti-corruption sufficient to tackle this? Or is it a mindset? इस करप्शन का आपने क्या करना है? ये तो इंटेग्रल पार्ट हो गई है आपकी लाइफस्टाइल की, आपके लाइफस्टाइल की. तो ऐसी ब्यूरोक्रेसी जो thoroughly corrupt हो. I mean, of course, I can't say everyone is corrupt, but there's those good people around also doing their little bit, whatever they can, but being pushed to the margins all the time. लेकिन corruption has become a way of life. ये मसला है. It has become a way of life for the bureaucrat. It has become a way of life for the politician. It has become a way of life for the businessman. It has become a way of life for the man on the street also. So, corruption can definitely be regarded as one of the main elements in the decay of a bureaucracy. Inefficiency. Whatever we talked about before adds up to inefficiency. Everything adds up to inefficiency. The unresponsiveness, the corruption, the red tape, the politicization. What is the net result? कि आपकी तमाम organizations, bureaucratic organizations, efficient नहीं रही. और efficiency को आप measure कैसे करते हैं? एक तो आउटपुट इनपुट का रेशो होता है efficiency. और जहां पर ब्यूरोक्रेट्स अपनी ही पावर ज्यादा करने में लगे रहें और अपने बजट्स ही बढ़ाते रहें और ज्यादातर बजट करप्शन की नजर हो जाए, तो इनएफिशिएंसी will definitely go out by the door. और फिर एफिशिएंसी के साथ एक इफेक्टिवनेस का भी कॉन्सेप्ट है. यानी जो आपने प्रोग्राम चलाया, जो आपने ऑब्जेक्टिव्स मीट किए थे, वो हुए हैं कि नहीं? आपका बजट खर्च हो गया, उसका रिजल्ट क्या निकला? मैंने पहले भी एग्जाम्पल पोलियो का दिया था. कितनी कैंपेन्स, क्या कुछ नहीं किया गया पाकिस्तान में पोलियो की इरेडिकेशन के लिए, लेकिन आज हम कहाँ खड़े? एवरी डे मोर एंड मोर केसेस कमिंग अप। तो इफेक्टिव नहीं था हमारा प्रोग्राम, नहीं रहा, भले कोई भी उसकी वजूहत हो, सोशियो कल्चरल, रिलीजियस, एथनिक, ट्राइबल, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर। लेकिन हमने ये सारे चीजें फैक्टर इन क्यों नहीं की अपने प्लानिंग में, अपने प्रोग्राम में? So at times you can be efficient but you may not be effective. उस efficiency का कोई फायदा नहीं है जिसमें effectiveness जिसमें से ना निकले। और यहाँ तो हम efficient भी नहीं है, extreme inefficiency. You look at any government-run public sector corporation, and you'll find huge deficits staring in your face. You look at China. Most of the Chinese economy is driven by public sector organizations. They have evolved a system of autonomy and discipline and planning. It is still a planned or a command economy to some extent. A system has been evolved whereby these public sector corporations or organizations have become very productive and are doing business internationally, competing internally also, but providing cheap products abroad. That's why many a time the Chinese are accused of dumping. But how long can you dump? How long can an economy manage sustained growth with dumping? So it's not just a question of dumping. It is the manifold issues which you have to tackle, and tackle imaginatively and with commitment in an economy vis-a-vis the bureaucracy, because these are after all bureaucratic run organizations, and then you achieve efficiency. The Chinese public sector corporations are really efficient. Then there is this resistance to change. Bureaucracy in Pakistan has never been a catalytic bureaucracy. Instead of trying to bring change, instead of borrowing concepts and being innovative, borrowing concepts from other countries, best practices from other countries, or private sector concepts, the latest concepts in management, instead of bringing about such changes, our bureaucracy has been resistant to change. ये होता है ब्यूरोक्रेसीज में कि वो स्टेटस को ओरिएंटेड होती हैं और नहीं चाहती कि चेंज हो, क्योंकि उससे उनकी मराद में, उनके स्टेटस में फर्क आ सकता है। ये दुनिया में एक इनहेरेंट चीज है ब्यूरोक्रेसी में हर जगह, लेकिन इस हद तक नहीं। एंड देयर आर ग्लेयरिंग एग्जांपल्स ऑफ bureaucracies which have welcomed change, brought about change, and in that process really taken their countries to new economic heights. इसमें कई कंट्रीज का जिक्र किया जा सकता है। पब्लिक सेक्टर कॉरपोरेशंस के ज़िमन में मैंने चाइना का जिक्र किया। बोरिंग ऑफ प्राइवेट सेक्टर कॉन्सेप्ट्स ऑफ मैनेजमेंट एंड इनोवेटिंग क्रिएटिविटी, क्रिएटिव इनोवेशन का बहुत बड़ा एग्जाम्पल सिंगापुर है। इवन ताइवान, साउथ कोरिया, ये ब्यूरोक्रेसीज ने फैसिलिटेट किया चेंज। If we were to hold bureaucracy as the primary factor for the development of Singapore and the status it enjoys in the international community, bureaucracy would be the single most biggest important factor in that. तो ये कोई अनहोनी चीज नहीं है कि ब्यूरोक्रेसी चेंज को वेलकम करे और चेंज को इंप्लीमेंट करे, रेजिस्ट ना करे। लेकिन शायद अनहोनी हमारे कॉन्टेक्स्ट में है और उसकी वजूहात शायद यही हो सारी। बेसिकली पोलिटिसाइजेशन। पोलिटिसाइजेशन जड़ें खोखली कर देती है ब्यूरोक्रेसी की। And politicians always have a way and develop ways to manage and tackle bureaucrats. It could be through special laws. It should be through some hanging swords vis-a-vis your posting or your tenure or whatever. So in a nutshell, if we were to look at the resistant to change aspect, I would like to again equate it with politicization. Because if you got a political master who's giving you patronage and in the process political masters भी और आप भी मजे कर रहे हो, तो आप क्यों चेंज करना चाहोगे? आप तो स्टेटस को ही रखोगे। आप पोलिटिसाइज रहना चाहते हो, आप कोई बड़ा काम नहीं करना चाहते हो जिससे कोई हलचल हो। I don't know if we will be able to use the fruits of new technology, like information technology, the concepts of e-government and e-governance, to neutralize politicization. Is it possible to neutralize or at least to reduce politicization in the bureaucracy through increasing use of technology, of introducing such processes, such paperless processes in most interfaces of public with the bureaucracy, so that there is no need for that phone call from a minister or a politician to get a work done, because computer will do it according to what is required. Take the example of Nadra. The constraints fed into the system are such that the computer will not accept anything which has a shortcoming. If you want to make a change in your ID card, there is a certain way of doing it. No minister can make a telephone call and tell the computer, okay, change his date of birth from this to this. There is a way, a set way of doing things. So when I think of politicization and resistance to change, the only silver lining which comes to my mind is the technology. E-government, e-governance. Maybe we'll talk about these concepts in some detail later if we have time. But that may definitely be one of the ways out. But do note that bringing in e-government or e-governance is also change. Bureaucracy will not want it to happen, or even if it were to happen, it will ensure that it does not happen at a rapid pace. The laid-back attitude of our bureaucrats. You know, who cares? That kind of attitude. Well, let it take its time. Oh, let's think about it. You know, all this. These are the kinds of words you hear from bureaucrats when they're together discussing a problem or trying to find solutions for things. Oh, what's the hurry, man? तो ये हमारा lazy attitude और laid back attitude है, not caring वाला attitude है. यानी सिर्फ हम जानबूझ के तो रेजिस्ट कर रहे हैं चेंज लाना, लेकिन उसके अलावा एक चीज हमारा माइंडसेट बन गई है. हम जब ब्यूरोक्रेसी हमने ज्वाइन की होगी, परहैप्स हम बड़े तेजी से काम करते होंगे, बहुत कंसर्न होंगे इश्यूज प्रॉब्लम्स के बारे में, लेकिन विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम the arteries of the bureaucrat start to harden. वो इंसुलेशन इतनी हो जाती है, सेल्फ सीकिंग इतनी हो जाती है, आप मायोपिक एक्चुअली हो जाते हैं. You can't see the whole world. You don't see beyond certain things. Least of all the clients, the people whom you are supposed to serve. तो जब ऐसे हालात हो जाते हैं तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली आपका एक माइंडसेट बनता जाता है और वो बड़ा ही एक बादशाहाना और लेड बैक और इनडिफरेंट एटीट्यूड हो जाता है. भाई वहां आग लग गई, चलो यार ठीक है, आग लग गई थी, वो देख लेंगे जो लोग वहां हैं, they will take care of it. Why should I bother? वो फायर ब्रिगेड वाले काफी हैं, शायद रेस्क्यू वाले चले जाएं, पुलिस वाले. Why should I bother? As the head of the administration of that city or district, as the bureaucrat, as the administrative head. Similarly, in departments or ministries or autonomous bodies and corporations, why should I bother? Well, the deficit has gone up by 10% this year. चलो गवर्नमेंट से जाके वो यार दोस्त हैं फाइनेंस में, कुछ ना कुछ कर लेंगे. I'm not going to say that let me make a lot of struggle to bring in more revenues, to change the way of doing things, to cut down on wastage and expenditure. That won't be the mindset or the thing which comes first to the bureaucrat. In our bureaucracy, the first thing would be, oh well, I think I will be able to get this money from the government. Let the deficit go up. I think I've been doing a good job anyways. So laid back attitude is ingrained. That has become a mindset. And when a thing becomes a mindset, it's difficult to really tackle it or to bring about a change. In fact, succeeding bureaucrats, those coming after you with the same kind of training and with the same kind of spirit in the beginning, energetic, wanting to do things in the beginning, they will also become victim of this mindset. Slowly but surely, वो लोग भी बिल्कुल इसी फ्रेमवर्क में आ जाएंगे. उनका भी माइंडसेट ऐसा हो जाएगा, indifferent, laid back, not caring, unresponsive. और एक जो ये एस्पेक्ट है निहायत ही खतरनाक, very, very important factor in the decay of Pakistani bureaucracy is the decline in intellectual caliber of the civil servants. जब बात किसी ज़माने में ब्यूरोक्रेट्स की होती थी तो वो फिलोसफर किंग और इस किस्म की बातों से ये सब कुछ शुरू हुआ. यानी एक ऐसा बंदा आपको चाहिए जिसका इंटेलेक्चुअल कैलिबर बहुत हाई हो. एंड व्हाट डज अ हाई इंटेलेक्चुअल कैलिबर लीड टू? It perhaps can assure that you can rise above certain levels. You can rise above politicization. You can rise above corruption. You do not become a victim to certain mindset. और इंटेलेक्चुअल कैलिबर ही आपको वो स्ट्रेंथ देता है to be able to stand up in front of someone who is telling you to do something wrong. और इंटेलेक्चुअल कैलिबर ही आपको कमिटमेंट देता है. अगर आपका इंटेलेक्चुअल कैलिबर हाई है, you are bound not to be swamped away by smaller things of life. You will rise above certain things. इंटेलेक्चुअल ऑनेस्टी की जरूरत होती है आपको. आपकी इंटेलेक्चुअल ऑनेस्टी इन द ब्यूरोक्रेसी कैन अश्योर relief for millions. It can assure poverty reduction, I tell you. और फिर इंटेलेक्चुअल आदमी जो है वो सोचता है और पॉजिटिवली सोचता है, क्रिटिकली सोचता है. But over a period of time we have seen that after the 60s perhaps, gradually the intellectual caliber of the new civil servants being inducted started deteriorating. We may not have much documentation on it, but I would go along with it. The concept of the bureaucrat, the generalist, or the legal rational bureaucrat was that it would be a person with a lot of exposure to different disciplines, with a high intellectual caliber, and as such being able to get a good position in the competitive exam. But then intellect can get eroded. You have to keep it at a certain level. You have to keep on learning. You have to keep on reading. And unfortunately, our bureaucrats in Pakistan these days are hardly concerned about continuous intellectual upgradation. And nowadays, people coming in know that the system is already politicized. They know the system is very corrupt. They know that inefficiency is being tolerated. They know it doesn't matter. Nothing will happen if they are unresponsive. And they are intellectually not strong enough to be able to question all that is happening. They just want to come into the system and adjust to all the evils of the system as they happen to be. So to my mind, the decline in intellectual caliber of Pakistani bureaucracy, along with politicization, are the two major factors which have contributed towards its decay. Maybe in times to come, we'll see, I hope we do see, a breed of young, intellectually superior, intellectually groomed, intellectually honest people entering into the civil service and not falling prey to the ills and misdoings of the system and their superiors. If our universities, if our teaching institutions and the people who are mentoring students there can produce such a breed of younger generation who ultimately come to the civil service, there can be a change. Because it is good human resource which can always bring a change. It is the quality of the human resource which is the basic ingredient to success. And that also applies to bureaucracy. Let us hope that this happens. And we do see in future a bureaucracy which is not very corrupt, which is efficient and effective, which welcomes and implements change, and which is depoliticized. Thank you very much.